All right. So this is kind of just an overview of the Future Faculty Fellows application process and eligibility requirements and whatnot. This is a new program for our office to be administering. So there are a few things we're still kind of working out, but we're working closely with the state of Michigan representatives and other folks on campus who have, been through, working with this program before. Just so you know, if it seems like we don't know what we're talking about, that's definitely, we have the means to figure it out. So no worries there. I'm going to share my screen over here. And also just kind of this is going to be real informal, so feel free to pop in with questions. Are you an MFA program applicant, or what are your educational plans?
I'm going for an MFA in creative writing, shooting for nonfiction. Let's see. And then I would love to go on and teach, higher education. So that's like my overarching goal, I guess, with it. So
cool. Perfect. Well, that's what the KCP initiative funds programs like the Future Faculty Fellows, and this one, the Fellows program, is definitely aimed specifically at people who want to teach. In the administrative guidelines, it also includes you can earn service credit through working in administrative roles also. And those mostly include things like, student services, or if you're helping with like retention initiatives at a university or at a community college, those things can count too. And if you're a teaching assistant, while you're in grad school, you can also get credit for that, but you have to get approval from the KCP program like ahead of time. So, but we know that that's definitely been approved before, so that we would just need to make sure that you have your application in. So what the program is, it's basically it funds up to $20,000 award for a master's degree student. For PhD students, it's $35,000, but since we don't have PhD programs yet, 20 is kind of the max for Northern students. And the deal is, if you secure a position that qualifies for service within a year of graduating, then you can pay, the service counts toward paying back that $20,000. And if you don't end up getting, an approved service credit position, then that just reverts to a loan that you pay back to the state of Michigan. So either way, like it's a pretty low, APR, loan. The application is made directly to the state of Michigan. So we don't have a lot to do with the actual application process, except for helping you gather your materials and whatnot. So probably the most important thing to talk about right away is eligibility. So this is the kind of the main eligibility requirements. These are, you have to meet all of these. So U.S. citizen, state of Michigan resident, and then accepted to a grad degree program, in good academic standing, not defaulted on a loan. And all these are all things that we can, just print screens from your student record. And that will be your, verification for the state. And then these last three haven't received a Future Faculty Fellowship Award before, not a current award. He had a different university, and hasn't, you don't have another KCP loan. And those are all, you just kind of, that self-attestation. In terms of being eligible based on academic or economic disadvantage, there's like a bunch of ways you can be eligible. You can be a first generation college student. You can be well, we'll just go in order. Adult primary caregivers. If you have a disability that causes an educational barrier. So this is a long list actually. So obviously like a learning disability, but also they list things like mental health, major depressive or anxiety disorder, or bipolar, schizophrenia, things like that, all qualify as a educational barrier type disability. English language learner, first gen college students. So that means neither of your parents would have a bachelor's degree. If you are a former foster child, homeless, qualify for federal aid. So through the Pell Grant or a federal work study or subsidized loans. And public assistance. So if you have SNAP benefits or WIC, SSI, and the TANF, temporary assistance for needy families. I think that's a pandemic specific source of aid. No, not so much.
I've heard of it before, but I think that's an old acronym. I feel like
Oh,
they
okay.
like merged it into something.
Okay.
But I'm not entirely positive. I recognize it, but that's not really doesn't mean a lot.
Okay. Returning citizens. So if for students who were returning after being incarcerated, or single parents. So there's like a lot of different ways, and you only need to tick off one of these. So if you can say one of these is true, then that's it, you are eligible. And then this column for verification required is where you'll find, what you need to provide the state in your application to kind of verify that you meet this requirement. So this is kind of the steps for getting all of your stuff together. You're going to need 2 to 3 letters of recommendation, and one of them needs to be your graduate program advisor. So they need to write you a letter, and probably that's kind of, if you're for sure planning on submitting this, I would start with that. That would be, if you want to give them enough time to write letters. So I would start by requesting those. And if you're not sure who to ask, I don't know are you a first year student at Northern, or
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I am looking to be a first year student there.
Okay.
I believe it'd be fall 2022 is what I'm looking at now.
Okay.
But yeah, I've had family members go through there, so I know that I already.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So for if you're a potential student and you're not sure who to ask, I would, prior employers, anybody who can attest to your, interest in, the career of education, or your trustworthiness to pay the state back, I guess, So yeah, I would start with that if you're planning on applying. And then curriculum vitae or resume. These are things that we can help with as well if you're not sure how to format one of those, although there's a lot of, stuff out there on the on the internet if you search for how to put something like that together. A copy of transcripts for previous degrees earned, unofficial transcript from Northern, your state ID stuff, and then a budget. So including tuition, fees, books, living expenses, including an estimated summary of all sources of income and financial aid that you have received or plan to receive. So if you're getting a graduate assistantship or scholarships or grants of any other sort, you'd want to include that. And then include a narrative. If you're eligible to apply because of a qualified or federal financial aid, describe how you overcame the financial hurdle to obtain your bachelor's degree. So that's just, wanting to make sure that the state understands that this is going to, the money is needed and you have a plan, you have a plan for how to use it. So the application, like I said, really you have to go through the Michigan portal. I think I started an application. Let's see if I can get in here. Wait, I use the other one. Probably not gonna be able to remember this. Okay, I'm not gonna remember my password, but this is where, so it's, you can follow the link on our webpage under create your application account. So you go to MI Michigan Login for Citizens portal, which is the same as where we just were. So you may have already created this if you have logged into the Michigan.gov to do like Secretary of the State things, I think. And you should be able to use the same login credentials. You would just need to go in and request access to the Future Faculty Fellows application. And there's more.
I was just gonna say that was the part that I thought was most confusing. Is I went through the Future Faculty Fellows part to sign up for it, and then it kind of just brought me back to the normal Secretary of State, which is actually normal and fine. But there was a second where I was like, did I just sign up for the wrong thing? So no, that's fine. It's just how it is. Yeah.
So you were able to log in and did you have to, what was the requesting access?
I didn't get that far yet.
Okay. All right. There's
I
information.
did a lot of verifying, so it took me a little bit of, there's a lot of like, yeah, I think because it has all your Secretary of State information, they're verifying in like many ways.
Right. That makes sense. This looks like somewhat useful information. I'm guessing, let's see. This is more. Basically, this is the email address that you want to use for questions. Since we obviously don't apply, we don't submit applications, but the state of Michigan does, and they have a phone number here too. And if you have, if you're trying to get in touch with them, if you are, are not getting a response, just let us know right away, and we can kind of reach out to prod them a little. Is my screen not sharing? I thought I was sharing my screen.
I can see you, but that's it.
Psh. Sorry.
So yeah, I was unsure if it was meant to be sharing.
Oh yeah.
And then it kind of
Oh,
kept
now
saying
I can see
thing, and I was like,
Yay,
oh.
this is more helpful. Okay. Right. So this is the NMU webpage. This button here will take you to the Michigan portal where you can create your application account and submit your application. This is the application, the state of Michigan contacts. So if you have questions about starting an application and submitting stuff, then this is the stuff that you'll want to reach out. We have eligibility requirements stuff here. This is where you can look to see the economic or academic disadvantage information. And like I said, you only need to get one of these. And your list of documents, and for stuff like your unofficial transcript, well, you should be able to, if you're a student at Northern, then you should be able to just print that from your MyNMU screen. And transcript from other universities will have to be requested directly from them. So once you've submitted your application, which is due June 18, I believe. Yes, June 18. So that's next Friday. You'll receive a notification from our office saying that your application has been received. And then it goes to our selection committee. So we'll review your statement and transcripts, but mostly this will, I think, it'll be kind of focusing on your curriculum, your CV, your resume, and your statement and your letters of recommendation. So those are the three kind of things that we'll use to mostly determine, where this award will go. And then once you're awarded, if you're selected as the awardee, that will, we'll need to get there's some documentation that you'll need to sign. I think it needs to be notarized. And then we work with you to get all of that information submitted to the state again. And all of that needs to be taken care of by, I think it's August. So it would be in time for fall 21. So Natalie, if you're planning on a fall 2022 start, you may want to wait until next year to apply, I think.
Hey, I came into this knowing I'm like way ahead of everyone.
That's
So
good.
yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, and we'll have the kinks worked out for when it's time for you to apply. So that's good. Yeah, and so the student who is awarded, that the funding is available to you. If you're, like I said, if you're planning to work as a graduate teaching assistant or administrative assistant, depending on what role that is, and that may comply with the service credit guidelines. Let me see. Yeah. So if you're planning on, asking for service credit from a graduate teaching or administrative assistantship, you'll just want to let us know, and we'll get that application in, before you start your program, just to make sure that that's going to count for you, and you can kind of plan ahead for what will be counted. Once there's a minimum number of credits that you need to, service years. And if you meet the requirements for all service years, then you don't have to pay back that $20,000. And that's just funding for you. If you do happen to have, and you have a year between when you graduate and when you would have to start, submitting service or, defaulting. They call it defaulting. It sounds scary, but really, it just kind of reverts to a loan. So you have a year to work with. And if the award does end up reverting to a loan, then you would be working with the state of Michigan to pay that back. But, that's kind of further down the line. Overall, it seems like a really, if this is a $20,000 loan, that's low annual percentage rate to pay it off. That's still a really good deal. And it's the kind of loan that you put on your resume because it's an award, so it's good. So yeah, like I said, the June 18th is the deadline for applications for this year. So that would be for starting fall of 2021. And the application will be submitted through the Michigan Citizens Portal. And I don't know, Janelle, do you have anything to add?
I'm just gonna say, I just went through the portal now and completed the rest of it. I have it in screenshots so we can put it up on the website. But it's actually really easy. The only trick is it asks you which government agency in the state that you need access to. It doesn't just say freshman fellows right away, or a freshman fellowship. Future faculty fellowship. Wow. Sorry, we have too many things with the exact same acronyms and sharing half the words.
Yeah.
So the one with a future faculty fellowship is under the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity. So you just have to click access to that section and then it comes up saying the FFF program. So that was the only trick. I kind of had to like re-look at our paperwork to see which one it would apply as, because I didn't know that off the top of my head. But
Well,
other than that, it was actually incredibly easy. It's just a matter of like finding that in the drop-down menu.
good. And in terms of collecting application documents, applicants should definitely get a hold of the graduate office. Our contact information is on the this program webpage. And for questions dealing directly with the application to the state, you'll want to contact them directly. Do you have questions, Natalie?
Not really. I mostly just was curious about like how to do it, and I guess the requirements, which I'm glad that I, can still apply and be eligible. Other than that, not really too much specific about the scholarship itself.
Okay. Yeah, I guess maybe I didn't spend a lot of time on the service guidelines. This document though is linked on our webpage, and this is really the document that talks at length about what you'll need to do after you graduate to make sure you meet the service requirements. And it can definitely, even though it's called the Future Faculty Fellowship, it also includes administrative roles, as well as pre-approved non-traditional service, like graduate assistantships.
And we have noticed that, they keep in contact with people for a while and they'll like check up on you in email and things like that. So it's not like something that you pass a deadline and everything defaults to a loan all of a sudden. Like
right.
check up to like make sure you're trying to get everything in.
That's good. That makes me feel a lot more like confident and comfortable with it all, because cool.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us. And if you come up with questions later, feel free to shoot us an email.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, definitely. Have a great afternoon.
Oh, you too.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.